There's a lot of new tricks you can do in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, from combat, traversal, to some cool settings you can tweak to customize and improve your gaming experience. And no one tells you about these things. A lot of these tricks I learned completely by accident. So here, let me share with you 11 spoiler-free tips and tricks the game doesn't tell you. Gliding is the fastest way of traveling in Spider-Man 2. Well, after actual fast traveling. And around the map you can find these slingshot icons, where you can slingshot yourself, giving you a huge speed boost. But what the game doesn't tell you is that you can slingshot anywhere you want. Whenever you need a quick boost, press L2 and X buttons and your spider will perform the same action as with the big slingshots, propelling you forward and giving you the necessary speed. This one I discovered completely by accident. So whenever you're gliding over the body of water, you can direct yourself towards it and surf for a brief period, which gives you the opportunity to jump and go into the gliding mode again. The surfing period is really short, so you'll have to jump or grab onto one of those yachts within about 3 seconds. This is an amazing way to keep your momentum going while traveling, and it just looks so cool. One of the biggest tips I can give for combat would be to try to stay airborne as much as possible. Anytime you have the opportunity, just launch one of the enemies into the air by holding the square button, and then just stay there by spamming the air yank, air throw, and swing kick moves. By staying airborne, you are usually in a safer spot than on the ground and have a lot of combo options to quickly deal with enemies or simply savor the feeling of air combat. Also, when you stay in the air while fighting, the skills and gadgets regenerate faster and you deal more damage, especially if you upgrade your suit tech. Plus, being airborne on a rooftop gives you a lot of opportunity to send the enemies flying off the roof. By the way, this is the best way to get gold in one of the Mysteriums, which requires you to perform 6 finishers before the timer runs out. You know, when you do the finisher and have these slow motion moments, you can actually activate slow-mo anytime you want. In the settings menu, go to gameplay, scroll down until you find game speed, and here you can switch between 4 options: 100, 70, 50, and 30%. I personally prefer the slowest one, the 30%. This is simply one of the coolest features you can enable in the game. I spent an hour just swinging around and falling in slow motion, but of course it might be annoying to keep going back and forth between the game settings. So to fix this, you can use the next tip and customize one of the D-pad buttons to create a shortcut for the slow motion button. That way you can switch the game speed with a simple tap. You only have 2 available shortcuts and you can't create a shortcut for everything, but there are a lot of options from technical to combat actions that you can customize. But this is absolutely awesome. I'm going back and forth from normal speed to slow-mo all the time during combat. Swinging is amazing. The skill tree can be a bit overwhelming in this game. There's just way too many options. You've got Peter's skill tree, Miles' skill tree, and a collective skill tree. And to me, it kind of felt, at least in the first part of the game, that Miles in general was a bit overpowered compared to Peter, especially with his venom punches. So I'd recommend investing some skill points upgrading Peter first, but the most useful skills I actually found in the collective skill tree. I know everyone's playstyle is different, but I first chose to unlock all the middle skills because traversal to me is crucial, and I'd recommend to then focus on this column here to make your way towards the web throw and the heavy lifting skills. That one is going to help you a lot when dealing with brutes. This one is good too. It gains you some energy when dodging, but overall, these are the ones I'd focus on first and add the rest as desired. Brutes are extra annoying in this game. They can perform this undodgeable attack where you have to parry, which can take a while to get used to. And the best way of dealing with brutes is by webbing and your power moves. Whenever you go into a battle, save the brutes for the last and deal with the regular guys first. That way, by the time you're done with them, you'll already gain some energy and are ready to use the powers on the big guys without any distraction. As I mentioned before, I highly recommend unlocking the heavy lifting skill that lets you throw webbed up brutes, which will become extra handy on the rooftops. If they have shields, just webbing isn't going to work. You'll have to break their stance with gadgets or powers first before webbing them and applying a few hits before they go into the defense again. And then you just rinse and repeat. Yeah, they're annoying. So this one has remained the same from the previous Spider-Man games. Whenever you're running alongside a wall, you can tap the circle right before the corner and make a quick turn around that corner. This is extremely helpful when you have a car chase going on or you lose control over your gliding while trying to catch the golden snitch, aka the vulture robot. This trick applies to regular swinging as well, though you will have to unlock a skill for that. You can change the difficulty of your swinging. Swinging is arguably the most satisfying thing to do in the game. It is so smooth. The visuals are just, oh my god, it's so beautiful. It's so amazing just swinging around Manhattan during the night and during the rain. And it's usually pretty easy to do that. You know, just hold the right trigger while pointing in the right direction, and the AI helps you with all the physics. But you have the ability to change the AI assist of the swinging in the gameplay settings. If you go all the way to 0, swinging becomes much more difficult. It gives you a more quote-unquote realistic feel of the swinging. Like, if you are close to the ground and you shoot your web at a 45-degree angle, then obviously you will hit the ground when you move closer to the point where the web got stuck above you. Basically, it takes more physics into account and lets you have more control over the webs. I actually set my settings at 7 because the webs felt a bit faster that way, but I don't really want to deal with hitting the ground all the time. Which, by the way, you can also turn on fall damage to add some spice to your traversal. The higher heights you fall from, the higher the damage you take, and while it may not be for everyone, it's kind of nice that that option is there. But of course, test it out and see which setting works best for you. You can configure the trick mode to stay on without the need to press the button continuously. The tricks are cool in Spider-Man 2 for 2 reasons. 1, they are really cool to do, and 2, because they gain XP for you as well as recharge your power meter and refill gadgets. To perform tricks in midair, you have to hold the square button and tap the left thumbstick in any direction to perform all kinds of acrobatic moves. But you can actually change this feature in the controls settings and have the trick mode to stay on after you tap the square button. That way, you will automatically be doing the air ballet without the need to think about it. Keep in mind that you can't go into the gliding mode while in the trick mode, and if you lose control when close to the ground, you will faceplant on the asphalt, which will be unfortunate if you also have the fall damage on. To go out of the trick mode, tap the square button again or press the left thumbstick to go into a dive, which will ultimately cancel the trick mode. In addition to the regular tricks you can do in the game, there are also the secret tricks the game doesn't tell you about, specifically the ones from Into the Spider-Verse, which is an amazing movie where Miles holds his hands behind his head or seems to be texting on the phone. The animation is basically the same as in Miles Morales, but the button combination seems to have switched a bit. So to perform, let's say, the hands behind the head animation, you have to make sure you have some height between you and the ground, and what you do is press down the left thumbstick, then quickly tap up on the left thumbstick and hold square button. You gotta make sure you do it in the exact same order, and you'll have to continue pressing the square button at all times. But during the fall, you can tap down on the left thumbstick and he will start texting, or if you tap to the sides, Miles will do the laying down position as if he's posing for a Thriller album. Peter, for example, will do slightly different stuff, like he'll be solving Rubik's Cube if you tap down. It is a little finicky, so you'll have to try multiple times before it actually works. And it seems that certain conditions and positions of Spider-Man in space and time fall in factor as well. But the one that works almost every time, you have to be on top of a building, you have to kind of gain speed running and just without pressing any button let Miles jump. And so he does this kind of, you know, leap with his back down, and that's when you can activate it, and that's when it will work for sure. Otherwise, he will be doing some backflips and you try to engage it, it won't work. Now, there's more to this game than meets the eye, especially when you go to the higher difficulty, so make sure to check out my next video with more helpful tips and tricks for Spider-Man 2. A hit on the like and subscribe buttons will be much appreciated, and I hope to see you in the next video.